Welcome Forex traders to this video analysis where we take a look at the various currency pairs and also the news events of the 15th of September and the week ahead. We'll take a look at the euro dollar and the usual four pairs. First of all though, we have to explain that this video analysis is intended for a global audience. Please take into account that it may not be suitable for everyone. To get the corresponding information on charting conditions and other details, visit admiralmarketsglobal.com, select your country residence and contact an appropriate entity. Also, trading for exchange and global financial markets is considered high risk and it may not be suitable for all investors and traders. Please seek the advice of an independent financial advisor for more information on that. And this video analysis is for educational and informational purposes only. By continuing watching this analysis, you agree with the disclaimers on the Admiral Markets Global websites. Alrighty, before we take a look at the charts and the technical analysis, let's take a look at our webinar lineup of this week. We got interesting stuff as always. Talantala is going to take a look at the weekly FX recap tonight, expert advice on Wednesdays, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in the mornings we have live trading lab and strategy on Camarilla, intraday, and Fibonacci. On Thursdays we have fractals boost your trading, and next week why swings are vital in Forex trading. The euro dollar on the 1 hour chart here looking like a choppy consolidation at the moment. We had a week of not so much movement on this euro dollar, and this could be either a channel to the upside or a bear flag chart pattern. And for that answer, we can look at the 4 hour chart and we can see that that entire green zone here is pretty much looking like a bear flag, to be honest, within a very strong downtrend on the dollar, on the euro dollar. Of course, uptrend on the dollar. So we can see that price hit the 38.2 fib, which could be a turning spot. I would consider a break of that bottom trend line to be an interesting signal, an interesting point of reference where price could go back into the downtrend mode. If price does retrace higher, I would expect the 50 fib to be the turning spot and a resistance spot, at least at 130 psychological number as well. And that, of course, is always a difficult nut to crack. So let's see how price responds to 130 and the trend line. If price does break above 130, well, obviously, then this bigger daily momentum could be in a bit of danger, maybe for a bigger retracement. Let me say it this way. Obviously, the entire downside is still very strong, especially if you look at the weekly chart. Just see how much down momentum there is. And I would say there's good space, at least to 127.50, 60-ish, which is a bigger weekly bottom. Next one on the list, the pound dollar, the cable going flat as the week actually opens. It's just bouncing back and forth in this tight green zone here. Within the 4 hour chart, you can see that tight zone happened after an impulsive correction here. Within, of course, a downtrend as well, as we are aware of. We could be in a very big downtrend here on the daily chart. As you can see, a lot of downside momentum. So if we go back to the 4 hour chart, what could be the turning spot potentially? If we put a fib on this last down move, the price did respect the 38.2 fib here, so that could be already a turning spot. This green line and the bottom here could indicate the spot where price could break through for a breakout trade, potentially, that I'm keeping an eye on at least. If price doesn't go down but go up, then the 50 fib would be something again that I want to keep an eye on for a bounce to the downside again. So it's that simple, in my opinion at least, that looking at the same kind of structure as the euro dollar. Weekly chart here too, a lot of momentum, and the next support on this weekly chart is 158.60, plus of course the 160 round number as well, which price got to pretty close, 160.50. Next one on the list is the Aussie USD. The Aussie USD broke the weekly, basically the weekly consolidation zone here, indicated by the red lines, and that lasted about 6 months, but a big, massive weekly candle pushing through that bottom of the consolidation zone with the close of that candle very near the weekly low. So a lot of bearish power on the Aussie USD, and the Aussie USD is finally following the pound and the euro dollar in its dollar bullishness. It took a while, but the odd is finally catching up. Here you can see the break on the daily chart, price falling, making a bounce back to the broken trend line and falling again. A classical break, pullback, and go, something we discussed in the live trading rooms as well, by the way. That was a great fall. Now, how far could this impulse fall? It's already lasted pretty significant amount of days, falling nearly more than 400 pips. So it's a pretty straight arrow in a way to the downside. And as we go scroll down the time frames, basically, you can see what kind of impulse and momentum there was For the moment, though, it does look like we could maybe see some follow through. There's some small divergence, therefore a bit of retracement maybe potentially possible here on the AUD, a bit of a bounce, but would still expect to see more follow through looking at the 4-hour awesome oscillator here and the momentum. So maybe some hook back to 91, the 50 fib or the 38.2 fib for continuation, 289.20, 88.40. Targets here on this fib is something that I'm keeping an eye on. Last but not least, the dollar yen 2, big momentum up here, big momentum here, and now again momentum. If we zoom into the recent price action, look at this weekly candle towering above basically the broken monthly resistance line and the broken monthly resistance top here at 105.40-ish. So here too, looking like a bullish breakout on the weekly chart. The daily chart, you can see the same thing. And we're looking at an extension of extension here on the 4-hour and the hourly. We look at a kind of smaller consolidation zone within that massive breakout of the monthly resistance levels. So here too, looking for maybe some follow through still above the smaller bull flag, the target, in my opinion, 107.70-ish. So not a lot of space. 108-ish, for instance, before we might see a bigger retracement back to 107 for further upside, I would expect. This week could be highly volatile, by the way, regarding the Forex calendar, because if we scroll down and take a look what kind of things are going on, we see, for instance, on Wednesday, the Bank of England rates, right, or vote cut, and vote unchanged, and the votes, etc., claim and count change. But also, for instance, we have Euro CPI and the FOMC, Fed Chairman Yaley speaking on Wednesday, and furthermore on Thursday we have actually pound retail sales plus, of course, Scotland voting for independence. So something you should be aware of that could bring volatility and unknown effects to the market. So thank you for watching this video analysis for myself via Admiral Markets. These are the spreads, and take a look at the social media. So please be aware that Admiral Markets has great spreads, and here you can see an example of the typical spreads, plus of course you can find great info through Facebook and Twitter. So hope you have a great trading week, and see you all soon. Cheers.